Welcome. You have landed once again on the channel of the AbFats, a Championship Manager 0102 channel. We do hints, we do tips, we do games, we do challenges, all to continue looking at this wonderful game that is Championship Manager 0102. Before we get into it today, can I ask you to consider maybe liking this video, subscribing to the channel, sharing with other CM0102 fans, maybe comment on the video and let me know what you thought of it and if there's anything else you'd like us to look to record. Today we're looking at something a lot of people know, some people don't know, some people have got half a gist, if that makes sense, and that's the keywords that you can enter into the find player screen. So these are the key words that bring up and tell you about certain types of players in the game. So there's a number of commands that you can enter, and they go into the find screen on your left, and then player, and then you type them in directly into that search for box. Now the first one I think that everyone knows about is the one that is no club. So you enter in the words no club, and I'll point out at this point it is case sensitive, so your no has to start with a capital, your club has to start with a capital. If you were then to press enter, that would then limit the number of players shown on the screen to just the ones that are free of contract at the moment, so not signed to any club. So this is every player in your chosen database. So for example, for my one here, I've got 1096 pages of free transfers. So if I was really strapped for cash at a club and I had some real time on my hands, I could look through all of these pages and look for particular players that may suit my needs. So that's no club. So every player, that is uncontracted doesn't have a club at the start of the save. The next one is another one that's pretty well known, but people don't know really what the parameters are. So the word is Sedgeford. So for anyone who doesn't actually play Championship Manager, Sedgeford is a town in Norfolk in England, but for us CM0102 players, this is a very good way of finding decent players. So Sedgeford will show you players that at the time of your search have a CA, a current ability, of 140 or more, and a potential ability of around 160 or more. So needs a bit of testing, I think, still. It could be slightly different to that, maybe 140, 170, but it's around those figures. So you're looking at decent players, and the only other filtering that it gives is, again, they are free transfers. So you'll see from the date in the top left corner, it's 14th of July 2001. This is the first day of a save. If I was to search using Sedgeford, we will have 5 players, and to Champman veterans, these are 5 very well-known names. Possibly the most well-known name is Taribo West. We have Gerson Amor Gonzalez, another left back. Roberto Palacios, the Peruvian. Pep Guardiola. And Victor Hugo Aristizabal. So these 5 players filtered down are current ability 140-ish, potential ability 170-ish. Yeah, so these will be very good signings. Returning to the search for box, we will go next with retiring. So this says exactly what it says on the tin. Everyone listed here will be someone who is retiring at the end of this first season in this case. So some big names here, quite a lot of them German. So we've got here Thomas Hessler, 35 years of age at 1860. We look on his transfer page, he is retiring at the end of the season. Dieter Eilts, 36, at Werder Bremen, again retiring at the end of the season. Probably the most well-known name here, I think, is Jürgen Kohler. Excellent person to pick up season 2 when his regen comes through. So this will remind you, or give you a bit of a nudge prior to them going, that Jürgen Kohler is going to retire at the end of this first season. So you will be looking for a German central defender, right foot only, who could be that big name. Here you could end up with Jürgen Kohler's regen at the start of season 2. So that's a good one to look for. If you are to forget and you get to the end of that first season, as long as it's not too far into that end season period, you can change retiring to retired. Obviously at this point no one has announced on day one of the save that they have retired, but as the season goes on you will find players added to this list, so you will know now that player has retired. They are about to be removed from the game within the next, month to 3 months, and then at that point their regen is then added to the game also. So again, using Jürgen Kohler as an example, once the end of the season comes, he will retire. His name will show up on this retired list for a short period, probably a few weeks to a month. He will then retire, and his regen will enter the game, so you'll know who to be looking for. Just a couple more. There are players in the game that unfortunately have bad injuries. So we can look at any of these guys on the list. So let's pick Armetti. I have the 4th column active on my save, so I can see his injury proneness is 14. What we also have though is players that have recurring injuries when you look at their physio reports. So to save you from doing that, you can enter the word recurring, and it will list everyone who, if you were to go through a physio report for them, would say, let's pick Ronnie Johnson as an example. Ronnie Johnson is a decent player for the club. The physios have picked up that he may have a recurring knee injury, groin injury, ankle injury, one of those. So that comes up on the physio report if you were to request that on any player. So in this particular save there are 179 players who do have that on their physio report. Christian Selnes is another famous player in the game. For anyone who doesn't know, obviously that looks like a Norwegian, Scandinavian type name, but he produces with a different nationality each time. So for example in this save he is English, so this would be a good save to be picking up Selnes, and he becomes a very good player. But yeah, 179 players. If you were to search and say physio report, it will come back and say got some concerns, long-term concerns, he may be an injury risk. Yeah. So 2 more for you. The first is around nationality. So for anyone who knows me, I love doing challenge saves. So you could do a challenge where you only buy players from a certain country, maybe. But when you go to the player search page, it doesn't list that country in the nationalities here. So there's only a few there. So if you were looking for someone who was, I don't know, American Samoan as a random option, that's not in that list. You couldn't search directly for them. In that find player screen, you can type in any nationality, and that will bring up a list of players for you to search through. So let's pick, as my example, I'm going to choose Cyprus. So quite a small country, it's not going to be on that list, but there will be Cypriots in the game. Here we are, 7 pages of them. What I will point out again at this point is it will bring up everyone who is Cypriot, but it will also bring up anyone who's actually playing their football in Cyprus as well. So let's take, for example, the imaginatively named Kostas Costa. He's a free transfer, and he is, as you can see, a Cypriot sweeper / centre half. The man just above him, though, Nicola Dikume, he's a Cameroonian, but as you can see from his club name, he plays for Doxa, who are Cypriot. So you just need to bear that in mind. It won't just find Cypriot nationality players, it'll find players that are playing their football in Cyprus as well. So Viktor Zubarev is a Kazakh but plays for Apollon, which is in Cyprus. So yeah, you just need to bear that in mind. Final one I want to tell you about today is one that some players do know, and this is the school search. So on the original game, ODB game, when you enter search, enter school into that search, it will bring up every player in that database who is aged 19 or under, 20 or under, around about that figure. I think it's 19 or under. But the guys at Champman forums, CM0102.net, and specifically the patching guys, so we're looking at Nick with Nick's Patcher and John Betts with his starter kit. They've obviously had play around with the game, and they've come up with a way of limiting that search even more. So the school search that I have at the moment limits the number of players that come up, and the parameter is a potential ability of 180. So this will only find essentially wonder kids. So it's not used that much in the saves that I make, but you'll know if you've used the school search before, it will bring up hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of players 19 or less. What this does now is it narrows that down and only brings up the really good players. So names we will know here: Jose Antonio Reyes, Joe Cole, Agahawa, Yakubu, Gino Coutinho, Xabi Alonso. All these players have loaded up in this particular save with a potential ability of 180 or more, and they are all 19 years of age or less. So if you're going on a wonder kid save, obviously this is the one to go through. As you can see, I've chosen Barcelona just for the purposes of this video. So Saviola there, you see at 19, Rockenbach also 19. They both have a potential ability of 180 or more. So if you're looking for particular players, Erdogan doesn't actually look that good there. Bart Flamand from Belgium, Marcelo Lopez from Brazil, might be going to Barcelona, and Yuri Baranek of the Czech Republic. So those four are all free transfers who will have a PA of 180. It may well be that their current ability is about 4, but potential ability is very high. So that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope the things that you've learned today will be helpful for you. As mentioned at the start, please do like, subscribe, share and comment, and let's continue keeping the game alive. See you next time.